Good morning, and a very, very warm welcome to the 11th Joint Ukrainian Umbrella Association for Psychotherapy and European Association for Psychotherapy Symposium, which has been organised by the Ukrainian and European Psychotherapy Alliance. Thank you for all these emojis coming up the screen saying good morning to me as well. Good morning. My name is Patricia Hunt, and I am honoured to be chair of the Ukrainian and European Psychotherapy Alliance and chair of today's symposium. For this 11th symposium, we have been joined by the Serbian Union of Associations of Psychotherapists to host and help to fund this symposium. Our dear colleagues, Professor Nevena Charlovska and Milena Marković, have worked closely with us in the preparation of this symposium, and we have greatly enjoyed the fruitful collaboration with them. We are thrilled to welcome you here today. These symposiums have proved to be visionary and a very strong and effective support to Ukrainian psychotherapists during the full-scale war in Ukraine. We will continue our support for you through these symposiums while the war continues. We are standing beside you in your darkest hour. You are not alone. 1,430 psychotherapists have registered for today's symposium, 1,007 from Ukraine, 423 from 44 other countries. We don't really expect, although 1,000 psychotherapists have registered, we don't expect that many to be present here today, and that's not true at the moment, because Russian bombardment is destroying electricity and internet networks, making it impossible for many people to join, but they will be able to see the videos and see the whole symposium after, once it goes onto our website, because we are recording everything. Our theme today is preserving humanness in spite of the catastrophe of war. We have chosen this theme with great care to reflect the state of the terrible full-scale war in Ukraine, which is now in its 5th year. This is longer than the First World War. The impact of this on you, Ukrainian psychotherapists, is very great. The need and challenge you face to sustain yourselves in your work, the need and challenge you face to preserve your humanness, both in your work and in your life, is a greater and greater challenge the longer the war goes on. We hope very much to give you support in preserving your precious humanness today through our excellent speakers, through our large therapeutic group, through the small group discussions and the round table of questions at the end of the symposium. The social media image we have for this symposium is a beautiful translucent fabric with light shining through it, which is a symbolic representation of our humanness, our shared humanness. Something fragile, but still able to hold connection and hold hope during the war. Humanness is defined as the state of being human, encompassing the essential characteristics, emotions, vulnerabilities and strengths which define human nature. Humanness is different to humaneness, which means compassion and kindness. Today, we focus on humanness, the ways in which war dehumanizes, and very importantly, the ways in which we can rehumanize and sustain humanness in the midst of the war. Crisis can bring out the best in us. As humans, we tend to react to crisis initially with fragility and feeling overwhelmed. But then we tend to reach out to each other for support. We offer support to each other. We receive support from each other. We help each other. We work together to be stronger as a community, to face the crisis and not be overcome by it. We hold connection and we hold hope. In the midst of the nightmare of war, the very, very real nightmare of war around you, it is possible to develop courage, show kindness, act with generosity to others, find humour, and develop resilience. This is very, very evident in Ukraine today. I have a huge admiration for the spirit of Ukraine, for the spirit of Ukrainian people, and the spirit of Ukrainian psychotherapists during the war. At our 10th symposium, during the round table, one of the Ukrainian participants said that because of how Ukraine is conducting herself during this war, that in the future, Ukraine can teach other countries how to respond to war, can help other countries to learn how to respond to war. I experienced this as a very moving comment, that in the midst of the war around you, you are able to create the space to think about ways of helping other countries in the future. This is inspirational. This is humanness. This is something that has emerged through these symposiums. As Freud has said, civilization is a process in the service of eros, of love. Its purpose is to combine single human individuals and families and people into one great unity. This is what Ukraine is living at the moment. In the face of crisis and war, you are a civilization in the service of eros, of love, even under the threat of aggression. You are demonstrating humanness, a society caring for one another and helping each other. War cannot destroy this. War cannot destroy this. Together, we uphold the dignity of the deepest humanity and our deepest humanness. We hold connection and hope. Together today in this symposium, we can do so much. Together we can create an inspiring and moving 11th Symposium, which we hope and trust will be a great support, especially to the Ukrainian psychotherapists who are able to be here with us today. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite my dear colleague, Professor Roman Kechur, from the Ukrainian Umbrella Association for Psychotherapy, to give his opening address on behalf of UUAP. Good morning, Roman.
Доброго ранку, Patricia.
Good morning.
Дякую тобі за
Yes,
Good
good morning,
morning.
Patricia. Thank you for these warmest greetings. Dear colleagues and dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, for me, it's an incredible honor to be able to greet you on this symposium. We meet at the time which, with no exaggeration, has become already a huge chunk of European and world history, where human resilience, trauma, solidarity, responsibility, ownership, aggression has become not only a scientific discussion, but part of our daily life. Ukraine goes through experience which changes not only society, but each separate person. We have changed, we are changing, even much more than we could ever possibly imagine some years ago. For decades, we took for granted we live in Europe where the darkest pages in history have been left behind us. We believed that there would never be a great war, and the population of primates has finally learned how better it is to be a human being rather than just an part of the fauna. Francis Fukuyama used to write about the end of history, where ideological conflicts have exhausted themselves. So many of us lived in that paradigm. We believed that we don't have enemies anymore, that a predator could not form within the population because it's profitable. And thus the history goes on. And missile strikes, occupation, destruction, everyday insecurity and mortal danger. At the same time, we start asking the questions which we believed that were resolved. What is freedom? What is the price of human dignity? Why do we need it, or do we need it? What is to be in control and make a choice? We know the price of peace now, because the complacence before gets paid a toll bill later, taken for granted. And unjust peace does not bring security, and doesn't stop violence. Unjust, unfair peace just postpones the next wave of aggression, of predatory behavior. And many of our colleagues are at war, serving the armed forces of Ukraine. Some work with the military and the veterans. Some help the families. Some is documenting crimes. Some supporting the children who lived through the occupation. Each of us is donating for the army, volunteering, helping those who help fighting. And when Ukraine is so far capable to defend ourselves, not because we love war, but because we love life so much that we feel ready to defend it. But it's important to learn not to fall for things that we felt after. So human health and human mental health is much more tangible now. Stress becomes trauma when there is no respite for human suffering, when there's no one next to you who could help you withstand it, when nobody creates what you would call a house of taming the suffering. So these words have gained a new meaning for us, because the war not only destroys cities, it's also a threat to destroy human connections. That's why we can say something that's most important. For the first time in modern history, we're not alone in this. Ukraine is not alone in this. Europe has not turned the blind eye. The world did not turn the blind eye. Your presence, your support, your testimonies are becoming the space where human suffering does not remain unalleviated. You help create this house of alleviation of pain, the house of levity, so to say, and that is why we're so thankful for that, for humanitarian assistance, for professional cooperation, for the doors open in our universities, clinics, academia, charity organizations. We thank you for helping the world to see what's happening, because one of the most important moral duties of our time is testimony, to testify that there is human dignity and there is human violence, there are terrorists, there are things that you need to call out how incorrect, unpolitical it would sound. But that is what the space of humanity becomes when it becomes itself. When looking for ownership, looking for answers for the questions that not only Ukraine faces, but Europe faces, the whole Europe faces these questions. And the future of mental health is not possible without compassion, without a safety pin against predatory behavior. So without the ability to be able to stand up for human dignity and therefore prevent encroachments on human dignity. So thank you, colleagues, for your support, for your professional passion, for our shared struggle for human dignity, freedom, and mental health. And I wish you all great discussions, new partnerships, and new hopes. And us together, our shared future. Welcome on the Ukrainian European Symposium. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Roman, for your opening address. I'm touched by your words, and I particularly respond to when you say, in Ukraine, you love life, and so you want to preserve it, and it's so important to preserve it. And this idea of a house of alleviating pain, the house that we can create, and that you need help from others, you need help from people outside Ukraine to create this house, but a house where suffering and pain can be responded to and people can be helped within this house. I like the imagery that you've used this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything you stand for in Ukraine at the moment, everything you're doing, Roman. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite Professor Milena from the Serbian Union of Associations of Psychotherapists, my dear colleague in the European Association for Psychotherapy, to give her opening address for her organization. Good morning, Milena.
Dear Patricia, I'm sorry, but unfortunately Milena has some technical difficulties, so she may only join in 10 minutes. That's the situation we have right now.
Good morning, everyone. If the introduction on behalf of the Serbian Union of Association is important right now, both Zoran Milivojevic and I are here, so maybe we can welcome the participant and jump in, if this is appropriate.
That is absolutely appropriate, Milena. Thank you very much. Yes, please do welcome everyone on behalf of the Serbian Union of Association of Psychotherapists. Thank you, Milena.
Okay. So, dear colleagues, it is my great honor to welcome you on behalf of the Serbian Union of Associations of Psychotherapists. And we are deeply grateful to organizers, speakers, and participants who have come together for this wonderful symposium dedicated to the topic that could hardly be more important in our time, and that is preserving humanness. War challenges not only our safety and security, but it challenges our capacity to remain connected to one another as human beings. It confronts us with a lot of suffering, loss, fear, division, and asks difficult questions about responsibility, dignity, and compassion. And as psychotherapists, we encounter these questions not only in society, but in our daily practice. In consulting rooms, we witness how trauma can wound human connection, and we witness how human connection can become a source of healing. And perhaps this is why gathering as such meeting that much for us, because they remind us that preserving humanness is not only an abstract ideal, but it is something that is created and sustained through dialogue, through understanding, through solidarity, and the witnessing to meet each other and meet one another across differences. So today, people from many countries and professional backgrounds have gathered around a shared commitment to better understand the human consequences of war and to explore how we can contribute to preserving dignity, humanity, and hope in these difficult times. Thank you all for being part of this important conversation.
Thank you very much, Milena. Thank you so much for standing in for your colleague, Nevena. Thank you so much for your words, your important words to us this morning. We have really enjoyed working with you in preparing this symposium. Thank you.
Thank you.